That was then, and this is now. It's been 89 years since Huxley wrote Brave New World and 71 years since Orwell's 1984. Today in 2020, Hugo Goerner writes of the transformation of media to propaganda and the repurposing of our children's education to indoctrination. Huxley and Orwell were fiction. Goerner's United States Socialist Republic, the Liberal Marxist Machine, and the men, method, and means to fundamentally transform America, this chronicles a reality. It's also a warning, folks. While America has a history of vigilance against the threat of Marxism from abroad, Goerner chronicles the slow, incremental penetration of domestic Marxist activities through media and education. Always vigilant against the Soviets then, we took our eyes off our schools and watched whatever was served. The left then created the woke culture. Unfortunately, more than just impressionable minds of the young and simple have been woken. For concerned Americans who are likewise just awakening from their long hangover, Goerner's United States Socialist Republic is a good place for parents and citizens to begin getting woken up to the threat that confronts America today. Folks, that's on the back of the book, United States Socialist Republic, the Liberal Marxist Machine, and the Men, Method, and Means to Fundamentally Transform America. That's by H.G. Goerner. And today on the 71st episode of the American Reveille Podcast, we're going to interview H.G. Goerner. We're going to talk about all aspects of this book. We're going to tell you what's going on, where it came from, and where we're heading as a country today. You're not going to want to miss this important interview and the information contained within. Stay tuned. Three, two, one. All right. Hey, Hugo, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good, James. How you doing? May I call you James?
You call me.
I prefer to call you Jim.
Yeah, call me Jim. That's fine. My mom calls me Jim.
There you go.
That's all right. Hey, it's 2021. You could be my mom if you'd like.
Uh-oh.
In the left-wing world, at least.
There
I don't know. So Hugo, for everybody that doesn't know who Hugo Goerner is, Hugo wrote this great book that I just finished called The United States Socialist Republic. Can everybody see that there? Yeah.
There she is.
There we go. It was a really good book, very eye-opening. And I wanted to get into it a little bit. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. And it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be eye-opening. Some of this might be a shock to you. Some of this might not, depending on how deep you've been down the rabbit hole. But Hugo, if you could give everybody a little bit of background on yourself before we go forward.
Well, I've been a contractor here in California for well over almost 15 years now. I got my license in 2005. I've been in the construction industry for decades. But more particularly, I'm a former appointed public official. I was appointed to the Alcohol and Drug Advisory Board by the chairman of the County Board of Supervisors here in Ventura. And
that's Ventura, California.
Ventura County, California.
All
correct.
Right.
And I was on that board for a number of years. And it was actually, I guess, really when I got my political career going was when I was asked by the California Republican Party to assist in the campaign for McCain and during that time. And in fact, I worked closely with the mayor of the city of Ventura. In fact, he just died not too long ago. And he and I were very, very close friends. He is a member, or he was until he passed away. He was a member of Mensa. I'm sure you know what Mensa is. I don't know if many people
just
know what Mensa is.
In case if they don't, let everybody know real quick what Mensa is.
Mensa is an organization that has members that are in the top IQ echelon, I guess, above 150. I'm about half that. I'm just teasing. What I'm saying is that my friend Neil Andrews, he was a great influence in my life. an extremely intelligent man. What he was doing hanging around me, I'll never know. The point is, he and I met on the same page. We understood each other. Having said that, I really got, over the years, as I had time, I was able to travel back and forth to Washington, D.C. I was on Senator Ted Cruz's 2016 campaign, deeply involved with that. And I'm looking at a picture right now of Senator Cruz and I talking in D.C. I've got my opinions about Senator Cruz. I won't go into how I care for the person. Honestly, I care for the man deeply. As far as I'm concerned, in my book, in the introductions, I explain it right there.
Real quick, if I could just cut you off, how do you feel about?
No problem.
How do you feel about? How do you feel about Ted Cruz lately? With
be honest with you,
with what he said about Trump just recently.
Well, he's not going to put himself out there.
And for those who don't know, just real quick, for those who don't know, Ted Cruz had said a couple very carefully worded statements about Trump and basically Section 230 and how he didn't get the job done and how he could have gotten the job done.
Who Trump didn't get the job done?
Yeah, he basically said that.
And his lawyers?
Yeah, he said that every time that he approached the Trump team, all of the different people at the White House in the appointed positions, they all basically pussyfooted around. And Trump, as much as he may have wanted to do something, never got the job done.
I didn't follow that so much, but I know politics is a whole plethora of strange bedfellows, and I'm telling you, you can either be part of the group or you can ask to be part of the group. But let me point something out.
Sure.
Really, if I may, and believe me, I'm the furthest thing from the most intelligent person in the room. I'm kind of low down there on the totem.
I think you're a lot smarter than you give yourself credit for,
sir.
Well,
but I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna lecture to people. But I've done enough research and I've been enough around these politicians that and people that are truly in power that when you have many of these politicians, if like for instance Trump, Vanderveer and David Schoen and these other people, these are a very guarded group of people, and they're gonna. I don't want to get into the politics of what Cruz did or didn't do, but I'm telling you what, it's kind of, how can I say this and not spit on the whole thing? These people they're gonna be separate but integral. They're gonna say, hey, we got this covered, Senator Cruz, we got it covered, and actually, to be honest with you, there was when Senator Cruz and Trump were vying for the nomination back in 2016, there was some bad blood there, and there was reconciliation later on. Cruz, we'll just leave it there.
I think Cruz did a pretty good job, regardless of what happened. I think Cruz showed us for a good 4 years that he supported Trump very well. I mean, I think that people like to put a very black and white label on things. They like to say things are very simple when they're much more complicated, especially in the world of politics. Especially in the world of politics.
You can make a whole mishmash out of everything that's been said or done. And nobody really knows the reality unless you're right there, unless you're one of the people involved.
And then we get left with this political drama that we basically get to go through. Exactly. I wanted to read a quote out of your book for everybody that's listening and watching. It really was a good book. It really was.
If I may, just one quick thing.
Sure.
It's important that we understand that how I feel about Senator Ted Cruz.
All right.
We'll leave it at that. We'll move on.
Sure.
I consider him an associate. He knows exactly who I am and where I stand. We've dined together. He's an absolutely stunningly brilliant man. when I left that, in the book, I talk about my interaction with him back in 2016.
Mm-hmm.
When I left that and drove home that evening, I realized what had happened. When you're around people that, nice guy. This is something totally different, Jim.
Yeah.
This is a gentleman there's true greatness there. This is a person that you have to, unless you're right there listening to him, what I went through and what I heard. It was actually.
You know he's going to run for president. I know it's going to happen again.
Well, and that will be, we will see that.
Exactly.
The point is that this is, if you're able to sit with this person like I did, I was sincerely humbled, and I saw and felt true greatness.
I will ask, just because, we're a different type of podcast. I figure I might as well have some fun questions to ask off the top of the head there. You dined with Ted Cruz. What was the meal of choice?
Chicken marsala. I can't remember what he had.
And that's what I was curious. Is he a tall guy? How tall is he?
5'11". He's about this much taller than me.
Yeah. I wear cowboy boots, so I'm curious. Is he wearing? He
does too.
He's wearing cowboy boots in the suit.
There's he has anacondas, and also
nice,
which is a lizard skin.
Yeah.
But he prefers. We both wear the same kind of boot, which is an ostrich half quill.
Oh, nice.
Black ostrich they're about $1,000 a piece.
Uh-oh. That's all right. I have a good pair of cowboy boots. I do. But they're $150, $160. One day when I move up the food chain a little bit, but that's all right. Until then, I tell my wife all the time, though, whenever I have occasions, if I ever get some occasions to wear a suit, cowboy boots under the suit. Definitely. Did the guy, he's a polite guy, a nice guy, very personable. He smelled good breath. I might as well ask. People ask me these weird questions. They do. It comes up and nobody ever talks about it.
He's an exceptional person.
I hope to meet him one day.
Very erudite, very humble, and extremely smart.
Oh, yeah. I have nothing bad to say about Ted Cruz.
There's nothing yet. He will play the game. I think you're going to find out that there's going to be some half-truths, but you don't want to let the cat completely out of the bag.
I guess that's politics, right?
During the debate, he and I went round and round about how Trump called him a liar and he didn't defend himself. He's smart, and you don't want to get in this back and forth. You lied. No, I didn't. The game of politics is a game of strange bedfellows.
It's very interesting.
We'll just leave it at that.
Very interesting. All right, here, let's move it on. Let me read this quote out of your book before I forget. Everybody that watches this show knows I can go down a rabbit hole and forget what the heck I was talking about.
That's quite all right. I go down rabbit holes too.
All right. So everybody that's listening, this is coming out of the United States Socialist Republic from Hugo Goerner. All right. The Liberal Marxist Machine and the Men, Method, and Means to Fundamentally Transform America, straight from page 59, ladies and gentlemen. One particular point that bears emphasis is how emotions and feelings have trumped facts and reality on the left. Our young people today are getting feelings or emotions confused with facts. Our children and many adults' feelings on certain issues have begun to override the practical realities of how these issues are actually addressed. Tell me a little bit about that. Where's that coming from? How does that make you feel? Those are your words.
Well, it's kind of funny because here's a book by Thomas Sowell.
All right.
And
tell everybody real quick who Thomas Sowell is. I know a lot of us know who he is, but
Thomas Sowell is an African-American who is probably the premier intellectual of the last half century. He has written numerous books, many of which have been reprinted and revised. over 30 books. He's an economist, and believe it or not, back when he started his college career, he was a Marxist. But if you go to Google or YouTube, he actually has a Thomas Sowell channel, and he talks about what he went through. In fact, there was just recently a documentary about him. And the guy is unbelievable, and he's so grounded, so authentic, and here's the best way I can describe.
Sure.
He says they ask him. He's a member of the Hoover Institute at Stanford University, and when they asked Hoover Institute asked him to come on, he could do anything you want. He was not a teacher. He was not a professor anymore, and he wrote a lot of books. The point is, they asked him, what changed your mind from being a Marxist in college to becoming an economist or a free market, free to choose type person, a capitalist? He goes, facts. One word, facts. I realized that the facts didn't prove that socialism was a good idea, and it's not. I go into that that's another story. The point, though, is that Thomas Sowell, we're talking about how he's so authentic and so down to earth. He talks about, and I quote in the book, about how two things. Number one, where when we're passionate about something and we get emotional, that clouds our ability to think clearly and use reason and rationale. So having said that, what we're seeing right now is many people, especially the young folks, having their feelings count more than the facts. And Biden actually quoted this, Jim, in one of his rallies. He said, we choose truth over facts.
Yep. A lot of us have seen that quote played back many times.
I can pretty much guarantee you without, and I'll bet the farm on it, that 99% of the adults in this country understand that premise. But the mainstream media has pushed this narrative and is sweeping the world, is sweeping around the planet. Having said that,
what do you think social media has to say about that? What do you think? Do you think social media has increased the speed at which these bad ideas have gotten around?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that if we didn't have social media, I think all of this nonsense would have been dead in its tracks. I think social media is one of the integral components to this poison.
And it all points to this one direction, that this is what my book. Here's the book, all the information in the book, and my book points to one central point, where the fundamental transformation of this country and the left and everybody from the center all the way, and everybody to the left, from the least liberal all the way to the most extreme liberal, they want to see that the country needs, everything is terrible and it's not fair. And come on, please. Well, there's people in this world, in this country, that have given their lives, and some things, aren't going to be fair. I don't know about you, but I've never heard anybody tell me, the world needs to be a fair place. No, but having said that, this is where Thomas Sowell talks about disparities in this world. There's going to be people in this world that are going to achieve more based solely on the fact that they're smarter and they work harder. Then there's going to be people that are not as smart, like myself, who just make an average income. But guess what? I have no problem with it. What I'm going to try to do is figure out how that guy made a bunch of money. Yeah, and that's the whole. That's
the beauty of our free capitalist society. At least affords you the opportunity to try.
And here's one of the part that really is really scary, Jim, is the fact that the mainstream media and these people on the left push this narrative that everything is it's got to be fair and equal and equity of outcome. On the back side of my book, there's a quote. Let me read it to you, if I may.
Sure. I was actually going to read the whole back of your book, so you might as well go ahead.
The The liberal, and this is my quote, the liberal Marxist machine in our country demands that equity of outcome be mandatory. That's where everybody winds up at the same place. Everything. That's that whole.
Kamala Harris said something about that right before she got elected.
Don't even get me started about Kamala Harris. Holy moly.
There are plenty of memes for that.
And many other people say, well, we want everybody to end up at the same place. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, no one is going to end up, everyone cannot end up at the same place.
That's not how it
There's
works.
going to be inequities and disparities in life because if people are going to be free, guess what? There's going to be poor people and there's going to be rich people.
It's pure statistics. It's just it's statistics. I mean, really, if you think about it, there's a large enough number, there's going to be a certain percentage that's going to do well, a certain percentage that's going to do not as well, a certain percentage that's going to do very well. Just as how it is.
It's a natural way of life.
Exactly.
Let me finish this quote. The liberal Marxist machine in our country demands that equity of outcome be mandatory. Be that as it may, I have to admit, I cannot wait for these idealists to discover that ultimately they too would wind up being controlled by the very machine they built.
And we see that happening. We see people on the left being eaten up by their own cancel culture grinder. You know, we're seeing that plenty.
We saw that Van der Veen said, hey, you guys, you can't manufacture evidence. Mm-hmm. And they just, what do you mean we can't I know exactly, because they actually laughed. They laughed at him. Oh, these how sick these people are, because when you manufacture evidence in a trial, like if you were in a real legal trial rather than this type of situation, this political hearing, guess what? You could be sanctioned and you could be put in jail.
I just want to know when they thought it would be okay. Like, when did that cross anybody's damn mind?
Jim,
it's 2021. We can doctor stuff up now. Nobody cares.
Jim, they don't.
They're busy watching the Kardashians. Nobody gives a shit. You know, I want to, just in case some people aren't quite sure, because this is an important book and it's explaining the path that this country is on. But I wanted to read the last part here of the back of your book to everybody, and then kind of give you a chance to tell everybody what your book's about. And then I wanted to touch on
talking about the money of fools?
Different things. Well, I'm just going to read the rest right here. That was then and this is now. You know, I'm going to give everybody kind of a quick little synopsis here of the book. That was then, this is now. It's been 89 years since Huxley wrote Brave New World and 71 years since Orwell's 1984. Today in 2020, Hugo Goerner writes of the transformation of media to propaganda and the repurposing of our children's education to indoctrination. Huxley and Orwell were fiction. Goerner's United States Socialist Republic, the Liberal Marxist Machine, and the men, method, and means to fundamentally transform America chronicles a reality, and it's also a warning. While America has a history of vigilance, against the threat of Marxism from abroad, Goerner chronicles the slow, incremental penetration of domestic Marxist activities through media and education. Always vigilant against the Soviets then, we took our eyes off of our schools and watched whatever was served. And the left created the woke culture. The left created the woke culture. Unfortunately, more than just the impressionable minds of the young and simple have been woken. For concerned Americans who are likewise just awakening from their long hangover, Goerner's United States Socialist Republic is a good place for parents and citizens to begin getting woken up to the threat that confronts America today. So talk about this woke culture for a second, Hugo. Let's talk about wokeness.
It's the left idea of how bad the country is. We've woken up. America is a very bad country. It's racist. It's this, that. It's not fair. Oh, we've woken up. Well, guess what? No, you haven't woken up. You've gone to sleep. I don't even want to get into that subject because let me put it to you this way, if I may. My book is 100 and some odd pages?
About 160, 175, something like that.
There's my buddy's book.
Ooh,
That's 600 pages.
Yeah, that's a thick one.
This guy right here is a guy that broke me. And he didn't necessarily broke me, but he enlightened me.
He broke you like Batman? He broke me.
He broke me. Here's the thing. For years, I was, okay, yeah, America is probably this. And no. And it finally dawned on me. Bing, the light goes on. Oh, my God. He broke me. He broke me in right. He wrote a 700-page book that was banned by Obama's White House that told the story of 9/11. But having said that, his name is Stephen Coughlin, major. He was a retired major in the Army. He was a Department of Defense intelligence analyst at the Pentagon. A brilliant, absolutely stunningly brilliant man. Well, and he talks about the woke culture.
Well, this woke culture, hang
on. This is very important, Jim. The woke culture wants you to engage them. They want you to bring you into this discussion, and then guess what? Then they'll just bitch and scream and, oh, you hate us, you're racist. No, guess what? My buddy, very good friend, Mr. Coughlin, says, don't even engage them. We have to just ignore them because they're children. And guess what? They will never, ever see the light. They have an agenda, and we'll get into that later.
Well, and then that's kind of what I was getting at. That's what I was going to ask you about. These woke people, this woke culture. It's not this fresh new idea that people think it is.
No,
it's not some magical thought, some unicorn that pooped out a rainbow and wanted to bring peace and happiness to the world. And no, it's this Marxist ideological crap. It's stuff that's been implanted in our system for a very long time. And that's where I kind of wanted to bring up a name that's very prevalent in your book, Bill Ayers.
Bill Ayers, yeah.
Yeah, Bill Ayers. Is it Ayers or Ayers? I always say
Bill
Ayers.
Ayers.
Okay.
William Charles Ayers.
All right. So tell everybody who Bill Ayers is, because Bill Ayers has a connection to this woke culture. And I wanted to talk about that a little bit.
Well, Bill Ayers, I start basically on page 1. That's where the very first sentence, I was investigating Bill Ayers. And on the first page, I see this gentleman where that I found out his name is Robert Mueller, but we'll talk about Robert Mueller later. Bill Ayers is the provocateur, the protagonist in this whole situation.
All right.
He was the founder of the Weather Underground, and he was basically an anarchist and a revolutionary.
Tell everybody what the Weather Underground is.
The Weather Underground was an organization back in the late 60s, early 70s that were basically made up of a ragtag group of people that bombed the Capitol and various other buildings.
Wasn't that lady from Black Lives Matter in the Weather Underground? Wasn't she the one that Bill Clinton pardoned?
Okay, well, she was briefly Susan Rosenberg.
Yes, Susan Rosenberg
was briefly part of the Weather Underground.
Okay,
she went off on her own.
All right, we'll go back. Yeah, let's go back. Okay, I just wanted to put the connection together real quick for people later.
If the American people, here's the point is, when I was dumb as a post until I really started researching this. And the more I dug and the deeper I dug, the more I found out, and then it was Stephen Coughlin saying, hey, you go, this is much more than what you really think it is. This is a whole movement that's going. We're on a path right now. And I'll get back to this.
Sure.
We are on a path right now where there's going to be a very dramatic socioeconomic paradigm shift, and that we'll talk about that later. The point is, Bill Ayers is an anarchist, and he pulls no punches. He's a revolutionary.
So what did he do?
He doesn't like America. Never liked it. And guess what he did? When he got indicted for basically being a conspirator when a police officer was murdered or killed as a result of the bombings. So he actually walked out of the courtroom a free man, and he said, and I quote, "Guilty as sin, free as a bird. I love America. Everybody knew he was guilty, but the FBI screwed the case up, and he walked. The point is, though, he went underground. He wrote what's called the Prairie Fire, where he talked about how white privilege, white supremacy is ruling America. America is predominantly systemically racist.
He did something interesting, right? After he got out of jail, he disappeared. You said he went underground, but then he reemerges, right? He reemerges
in '84 at Bank Street College with a degree.
Wow.
A master's degree in early childhood education.
So I want everybody to pay attention to that real quick. Everybody that's listening to this, everybody that's watching this, everybody that wants to know what the hell is happening and where this stuff is coming from, why your kids are breathing and eating this stuff. I want you to pay attention to what we're talking about right now, because you have a terrorist, somebody bombing, somebody looking to destroy, somebody who hates this country, somebody who hates capitalism, who got off scot-free, disappeared, and then shows up with a master's in education.
Early childhood education.
Think about that, guys.
A specific genre. Early childhood education.
So this is 1985, and here he is, early child education, 84, excuse me, early childhood education, and what happens?
Well, then 2 years later, he gets another master's degree from Columbia in early childhood education. Then a year later, he gets a doctorate, a PhD in education and curriculum. So and he set his sights on his gun.
So it's 87 or 88.
Right on our children. Right on our children, yep. Jim.
Right about the time when people from right around and right after my generation were going to school. Because I remember Common Core. I remember Common Core and different things like that started coming out when I was going to school. I just missed a lot of that stuff.
That's when Common Core was starting to be circulated, and Common Core has a lot to do with it. But if I may say, in the book, you'll find out I reveal the smoking gun. It has to do with what's called outcome-based education, and there's the Annenberg curriculum. But the Annenberg, there's a gentleman named Walter Annenberg that set up a program with Bill Clinton to improve the lives of our children, especially in the inner cities. And Bill Ayers jumped all on that. And they got $40 million, and that just disappeared. The point that I want to make, though, is that there's a gentleman in the book that I point out that talks. His name is Mr. Jerome Brown, and he points out what's called outcome-based education. And in the book, if you get the book, you'll see the tool that's used. They actually alter. It is conceived, designed, and is part of Common Core to turn the child, actually alter the child's attitudes and behavior. And I'll give you a real quick synopsis. The children, what we're seeing now, are kind of what now let me put it a little bit more succinct. What is happening, we're seeing, is with the children becoming, my parents caused me a great deal of grief. And I'm sorry. Well, do they beat you? No. How do I point this out? Let's just take it right. I'm gonna blow it out.
Sure,
okay?
Might as well. Let's do it like that.
We'll just do it. There is a primer, and I talk about it in my book. Every teacher, this is K through 12, starting with children that are 6 and 7 years old. And a teacher has a primer. That primer, the teacher, that is a guideline for what the teacher takes the children through during the daily class. There's a sentence that the teacher will write on the board. Okay, kids, here's a sentence I want you to look at and help me out, okay? My mom, blank, to clean my room. And she says, kids, what's the right word? Does your mom tell you, or does she nag you? They want an emotional word. It's nag. My mom nags me constantly. Clean my room. Guess what? That changes the child's attitudes towards the parent. The parent becomes a problem. Basically what happens is The kid comes home. I don't have to clean my room. This is my room. I'll do whatever I want. You don't have you. And I'm telling you what, that cycle. That's only one brief. I mean, I could dig it.
But you know, there's
a bunch more stuff.
To just say something real quick. There's thousands upon hundreds of thousands of parents that will agree with me when I say that it feels like the schools pit the kids and the parents against each other. You know,
You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it.
Sometimes it feels like, as a parent, you're beating your head against the wall and you're wondering why your kid's angry, why your kid is confused, why you can't communicate, why there's this bridge that seems to be blocked in between you and your child. And nobody ever thinks to look at the school. Nobody ever thinks to. It's the perfect
Jerome
disguise.
Brown, you have to see Jerome. In my book, I put an actual couple of articles by Mr. Brown. He talks about how, and if you research Jerome Brown talking about outcome-based education on Google, you can find out, and you actually will see a video of him talking about the fuzzy feeling that the child has. There's a bond between the child and the parent that is so strong, virtually nothing can break that. But what the whole, not so much Common Core, but what the liberal Marxists want to have is they want social justice warriors, and they've got to break that bond. And where that bond has to end up is in the teacher's hands. What they want, that warm, fuzzy feeling that they get with the parents, they want to transfer that to the teacher. The teacher actually says, "Oh, kids, I care about you." That whole scenario. And then basically what happens is that the child no longer feels this bond with the parents. They feel the bond because the teacher, they actually spend more time with the teacher, 9 hours a day. The kid comes home, the parents aren't home, they eat dinner, go to bed. And this, it has to do with latchkey children. And also at the same time, it has to do with Common Core. I mentioned in my book about building the machine.
Yeah. Well, really quick before we have a system, right? We have a system in place now that's very different than it was 30, 40, 50 years ago, where parents have no choice. If you're even in the middle class, both parents are working.
Good.
So the kids are conditioned. They go to preschool, they go to daycare. They're in daycare 30, 40, 50 hours a week. Then they go right into school. They barely know their parents. So let's get back to building the machine, Common Core. Tell me about building the machine, Hugo.
Okay, there was a documentary put out. You have to see this. This is one of the things Obama pushed through. Let me preface this with one statement before we get into building the machine. Obama was a good man, educated. He was a socialist. That's what he wanted.
A good man according to the elites.
Listen to what I'm saying. We have, according to the elites, yes.
Sure.
He wasn't a thief. He raised a family. He was an honest man. He was a socialist. And having said that, we can say that socialism is evil or whatever you want to say it, but you can't put the guy down. But I guarantee you, his socialist ideas and premises were completely against the American system, and that's why he was, and it still is, dangerous to the American society and the American Constitution and our way of life. And dangerous in the fact he's not going to destroy the country. He can fundamentally transform it using the laws. Having said that, we get back to building the machine. What he did is he nationalized education, healthcare, the mortgage system to a degree, and the next thing will be the banking system. When you nationalize 3 out of 4, guess what? You have a problem. Then there's a fifth one that I'll tell you about that's going to scare the snot out of you.
Well, Obama has a history with Bill Ayers, doesn't he?
Big time. They were on the Annenberg Challenge, which was the overseer of the kind of to form the Annenberg Challenge for the children in Chicago, and they sat and they worked together. But
so was that the model? Like, was that what they based a lot of their like Common Core and different things on?
Well, Common Core was developed by other groups.
Okay.
Bill Ayers was part of not so much
because I always
building
try
it,
to
but-
put the connection together, because I know Obama became president. He enacted a lot of this bad stuff. And I know he has a history with Bill Ayers, and Bill Ayers has a history with the Weather Underground and with changing our education. Right. So I need you to put together for the fans that connection between Bill Ayers, between Barack Obama, and how Obama, with the influence of Bill Ayers, what was his part after all the stuff we just talked about? What did he do to ensure that our kids were being indoctrinated?
Okay, there was a whole group of people, and believe me, Ayers and Obama were linked together pretty much at the hip for a short period of time. But the whole thing was brought together by a consortium of people, and what they wanted to do. And here it's the Marxist ideal, where and I'm going to say this, and this is really tough.
This is going to be uncensored, uncut, so you're free to speak your mind, sir.
The whole thing was to dumb down the kids and give them as little information as possibly can. In the documentary Building the Machine, Common Core State Standards, it talks about how there are a number of academics. Basically, what Obama and Bill Ayers put together, but many other people in that group did, is Obama used TARP money, millions and billions of dollars, and he dangled it in front of governors. And he said, okay, we've got Common Core. There's 35 states right now that are insolvent. There were 32 states back then. And he said, guess what? Governors, let's all meet at the governor's ball. And there's actually a governor's meeting that they have once or twice a year. And it has to do with the Federal Reserve. But having said that, he said, governors, you need some money. Here's a couple $billion for you and everybody else, the governors, if you sign up Common Core. Now, here's the important thing you've got to remember.
Yeah.
Education is up to the states. It's an individual type thing. He basically federalized, nationalized the education system by saying, here, Arkansas, here's $1 billion, sign right here, and you implement Common Core, and you get the money, etc. But he did that, he violated what's called the Sunshine Act. When you have to, when you're going to implement a law, and we'll talk real quick about the Affordable Care Act.
Sure.
When you, as a public official, when I have to, or we're talking at a meeting about implementing a mandate or a law, we have to allow the public at large to come to the meeting. It's called in the federal law, it's called the Sunshine Act. And in the state of California, it's called the Brown Act. We have to notify the people 72 hours before the meeting is held. And we have to post the agenda. Then at the meeting, we allow the people to come in and sit down and fill out a card and ask us questions. We have a time for that, a time slotted for that in the agenda. Obama never did that. He basically nationalized the education system over a weekend. And I'm exaggerating, but that's what he did.
They did it through legislation, right? Not legislation, but through executive powers.
Through executive power, exactly. But also, if I may say, in the book, he nationalized the healthcare system with Affordable Care Act, with the ACA. Real quick, check this out. Number one, you got Roberts. He goes to Roberts and he goes, listen, I want to penalize these people if they don't sign up for the Affordable Care Act. And Roberts says, hey, well, hang on a second. No. You can't penalize the people. They didn't do anything wrong. Because what do? Roberts says, change the law, change the word. The judges on the Supreme Court changed the wording. They became legislators. I have a very, very good friend of mine that is a retired Superior Court judge. And he says, this is a violation of the Constitution. The judges have become legislators. And here's the best part I can tell you. There's a guy, and I forgot his name now. He was the architect. I forgot his name. Brain dead.
It's okay.
um, um, there's a video of this guy's an MIT brainiac. He's the guy that put the Affordable Care Act together, and he's caught on tape. And I quote, I can remember the quote, but I can't remember the guy's name.
That's all right.
He says, if the American people, let me back up. The Affordable Care Act was written in a very tortured way. If the American people would have known that the Affordable Care Act was a single payer system, the bill never would have passed.
Yep.
And there's another quote. He says, call it the ignorance or the stupidity of the American people, but lack of transparency is a huge political advantage. That is taking advantage of the American people's ignorance or lack of information.
So Obama comes
in. Hiding the information doesn't make it right.
So Obama comes in, right? And Obama really starts enacting a lot of these socialist policies straight from the desk.
He's fundamentally transforming the country.
And so we start seeing a lot of the ignorance play out. We start seeing a lot of these leftist groups form during Obama. All right. So then Trump comes in, Trump cleans house. Trump does everything he can to reverse stuff. We saw what happened this time around. And now we've got Sleepy Joe in place. And Sleepy Joe has done everything he can, as we've seen in the beginning of his term, to erase everything Trump has done and put everything Obama wanted to do back in play. Right. So what are we seeing? What are we seeing now? Give me an assessment from Hugo Goerner. What do you see and where is this going with Biden?
As quickly as I can. First off, you have what Biden wants to put in as a reality czar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, reality czar. Okay. That means he's going to be an interpreter of the reality. And this guy, where you're going to find that a person who interprets who is a government official appointed to that position, they're going to become the most important person in the country next to the president.
Mm-hmm.
What they're going to do is interpret the law. And if the law is written in an arbitrary, basically incoherent way, then the person interpreting the law will become the most important person on the planet.
How do you get to choose? Who dies and makes somebody king, where they get to choose what you're interpreting? It's like the movie Minority Report. Do you remember that movie with Tom Cruise back? It's a sci-fi movie where the psychics they're detecting that you're going to do a crime before you do the crime.
Yep.
Right. And then they go out and arrest you before anything happens, and that's what this feels like. They're going to guess. That in that movie, it was proven wrong at the end. It was proven wrong, and they had to destroy that system. And now we're in this world where it feels like the same thing is happening.
Hey, do you ever heard of a gentleman named Robert Bernard Peterson? Excuse me. Not Robert. Jordan Peterson. Bernard Peterson.
Just Jordan Peterson, the psychologist?
Jordan Peterson.
Of course I've heard of Jordan Peterson.
Hey, Jackie, I know you have. Okay. This guy, I went to one of his lectures.
Yeah.
And after an hour and a half, I was literally stuck to my seat.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get out of it. The gentleman is a true, profound intellectual.
I'd love to talk to him.
From the very beginning, when he talks, I'm going to mention to you why this is. When you have a person interpreting the law, in Canada, they have a law called C-16.
Mm-hmm.
That's called, it has to do with hate speech. Well, who determines hate speech? What do you mean by hate speech? You hate me. And because I say you hate me, you can be arrested. Wait a minute.
Crazy.
I'm not trying. Hey, let me explain this. And I think for the people that are watching, basically up there in Canada, when someone says, "Hey, Bob, how you doing?" No, I'm not Bob anymore. I'm Barbara. You must call me Barbara. It has to do with what's called compelled speech.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan Peterson said, I will not have my speech be compelled. I can speak freely. The fact that people are able over centuries have been able, or 600 years, have been able to speak freely, that's brought us to this point where we have the greatest nation on the earth.
Exactly.
Innovation, the man's intellect, etc. We are able to discuss these things and work the problems out. When you compel speech or you censor it, that's what Jordan Peterson was talking about. So having said that, The person is the most is my, oh, you hurt my feelings. Wait a minute. I'm not responsible for your feelings. But guess what? According to the law, the person interpreting that person's well, he doesn't, you feel like he hates you? Okay, arrest the guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? That basically, that moves, the person interpreting the law will become the most important person on the planet, because that will stifle your speech. And that's once you take that First Amendment, then you have a big problem.
About 1,000 people listening to this show just said, "What are you talking about, Hugo?"
Really?
No, that was my bad joke.
I know, yeah,
It was terrible. It was terrible. That's okay. I tried.
But what I wanted to say is that my book, here's the book.
Mm-hmm.
All this points to one thing. It has to do with how Biden has pretty much set it up for over a decade. One piece of information: China has been buying up large amounts of natural and precious metal resources and what's called rare earth materials.
Mm-hmm.
But not only that, in the last 10 years now, the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, owns 36 container ports across the nation, across the planet,
mm-hmm.
in 18 different countries. And Biden knew this 10 years ago. And the president and many of the elites knew about this. What he wants to do is he wants to be cozied up to China. And there's a lot of things that I want your viewers to do some digging. Go to a YouTube channel called China Uncensored. A guy named Mr. Chappell, not Jack Chappell. Go to China Uncensored. There's a lot of information that this gentleman digs out, but also do your own research. China is positioning themselves to be the #1 global superpower in the decades to come. And guess what? This is where we're headed, and we'll conclude it with this, sir. Everything has a economic value. You have an apple, whatever. You have an apple, okay? And you're going to bite into that apple. It costs you $5 or 75 cents to buy that apple.
Oh, yeah.
The point that I'm making is this all boils down to the Great Reset, which I mentioned in my book.
Oh, yeah.
We're in a situation right now where we've kicked the proverbial debt can down the road too far, and it's going to snap. In 2008, we basically had a freeze of credit. Everybody's panicking. Ben Bernanke and Hank Paulson said, "Okay, let's get some money out here." They gave it several billions of dollars to the banks and say, "Okay, loan this out." Now, they're actually get the credit going again. But here in the not too distant future, what's going to happen since the COVID, and China's a great player in this, so with the COVID and the economic situation in the lives, California, like I said, and 35 other states, or they will start with California. Let me back up. 4 states right now are in serious trouble. California, Illinois, Michigan, and New York.
Yep.
Those 4 states make up 25% of the tax revenue of the federal government and 25% of the GDP. Having said that, California is going to lead the path. They will file what's called sovereign default. Then once that starts, there's going to be a cascade of the other states saying, "Okay, well, let's see if we can get back to square one." This all gets to the point where it has to do with the World Economic Forum, and you've probably seen the ad, and I think we've talked about this before.
Oh, yeah.
Where you will own, they say, you will own nothing.
And you'll be happy.
Yeah. How do you get to that point?
It makes me want to throw up.
Well, this is the reality that the elites see. What we want to do is get back to square one, where governments and people are living on a budget. It's a lot more involved than that, but that's where the huge paradigm shift is going to take place. And how do you get people to, where do you go? If you own something, how do you get them to the point where you're not going to own something?
I would guess.
Hang on. you have to nationalize the banks.
I was going to be wrong anyway. I was going to say, I guess you have to take it away, but then that probably leads to that.
When the federal government sees the California and a few other states just start all of a sudden, bam, 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 down the road, they're not going to be bailing these states out.
No.
What they're going to have to do when California files sovereign default, what will happen is its credit rating will go right in the toilet, and they will not be able to borrow money again. They won't be able to borrow money. Nobody will loan them money because they know they won't get their money back.
And for folks that don't know, just let me throw it out real quick. States, just like companies, just like anything like that out there, a business, they're known as entities. They have rights, legal rights, just like a person does. So a state can go bankrupt, just like a business can go bankrupt, just like a person can go bankrupt.
No, hang on. Let me, if I may, sir.
Sure.
Jim, you're a good man, but let me correct you.
I may be wrong. I'm not right about everything. Please.
I love you, buddy. Here's the situation.
Sure.
The state and the federal government have a contract with the people to provide them, to fix the roads, provide them with services, hospitals, et cetera, stuff like that. They have a contract. They cannot file bankruptcy. What they can do is the state can file what's called sovereign default.
Okay, gotcha.
Basically, what that is a restructuring of their debt.
So
California is going to come to the point here real quick. They can either keep the doors open or pay the interest on their debt to borrow that money to keep the doors open. Okay. But they can't do both. Okay.
So a state can't go bankrupt, but a state can do its own form of constitutional bankruptcy, I guess we could call it.
They will file what is called sovereign default.
Yep.
But the point is that when there's going to be they're not going to be bailed out.
Yeah. So where's that going to lead us?
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is Chicago will file, and right after them, Michigan will file, and then New York will file. And guess what? The federal government will not be able to bail them out fast enough. They won't have the money. So here's what's going to happen. The federal government will have to nationalize the banks. When they do that, the money will still be in the banks. It just won't belong to us.
And then they could just do whatever they want.
Just like in China, this is right now in China. Right now, as we're speaking, the Chinese Communist Party own the banks. The people in the banks are only able to spend. So if you have $150,000 in the bank in China, you can only spend maybe $150, $200 a day.
So tell me, if Joe Biden nationalized the banks tomorrow, right, and I had my last $1,000 in the bank, right? Say you own a construction business. Say I'm a hardworking construction worker, and my job's been affected. My workload's been affected by COVID, by everything that's been going on and all the nonsense. And I got my last $1,000 in there, and I'm trying to feed my family. If Joe Biden wants that $1,000, can he just take it after they nationalize the banks?
What they'll do, if they'll do it in the dead of night, Friday night at midnight, they'll nationalize the banks. Now, I want you to understand this.
Yeah.
It's not going to be taking basically what and it becomes it. How can I say this? It will not be stolen. Your money will still be in the bank, but it will not belong to you. What the federal government has to do is use that money that we have, our wealth. They will take possession of it. They will control it. And they will be able to leverage that money so that they can borrow money from Germany, China, these other large companies.
So how will that then trickle down to the common working man or woman?
You will be able to get a little bit of money out of the bank each day.
So they're going to ration. That's what you're telling us? They're going to ration our money to us?
Correct.
Who the hell do they think they are?
That's what they do in China.
Holy Christ.
They do it in China right now.
Oh, my gosh. That's so That's so
terrible. Why Biden wants to cozy up to China. He's in bed with them. And I guarantee you, mark my words, Jim, Joe Biden with his son cozied up to them half a dozen years ago for this sole purpose.
Jeez.
When the actual fire gets too big and it gets too hot, Joe will sell this country out in a heartbeat so that he can have a seat at the global table of power.
Hugo,
I guarantee you.
Hugo, how do we dig our way out of this mess?
sign up for Epec.
Tell us, what's Epec? What's Epec?
Epec is an organization that I have put together, and there's other organizations. What we need to do is we need to get the House back, we need to get the Senate back, and we need to put a conservative in the White House as soon as we possibly can. If we can, we have the 2022 elections coming up. And what I'm going to try to do, in fact, I've reached out to two gentlemen right now that are going to be running for governor here in California. When Gavin Newsom says, night, I'm out of here. Yep. And then what we're going to try to do is Reagan, Schwarzenegger, we're Republicans. What I want to try to do is get the California back to a Republican state if I can. And Epec has a mission statement. What we're going to do is I'm not ready to take on membership yet, but when we do, we want contributions, $1, $2, $5. You can join and be a member for $5 measly bucks. And our mission statement is to, above all, peacefully and righteously, in accordance with the rule of law, resolve to secure. And there are 7 items right now that we talk about: preserving and protecting the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And it goes down the list. And I'm getting ready right now to point out the last one. And that's going to be very crucial. We'll leave this at this. There's a gentleman, a senator from Oklahoma, and I believe his name is Larkin. You have to see his, about 10 days ago, he presented in the well of the Congress an idea about the sanctity of life. That's going to be number 8. You have to really see what Senator Larkin talks about. Is that a baby? He points to this picture.
I'll tell you.
Having said that, our mission statement is to preserve and protect our America and the American way of life and the Constitution.
I feel like, I'll just throw this in real quick. I feel like if you were in sex ed class, right? If you were to throw in for the kids the video that's out there, not the graphic one, but the one from an abortion where they show the ultrasound video of the needle going in and the fetus trying to fight the needle.
I've never seen that.
It's a horrible. I saw a video. So I used to be a little more libertarian in a sense with pro-choice. And I would say, hey, it's kind of a woman's right. I get it because I don't really agree. But at a point, but after I saw that video, after I saw that horrible video, it changed me. And I feel like if you just show kids that video, they'd probably change their mind or think about using abortion as a form of birth control, like so many people are taught today. It's not their fault. They're taught to do this. They're taught to do this in the schools. It's terrible.
Part of the culture.
It's terrible. Tell us what the URL to Epec is. How can people find Epec?
You just basically have to go preserving. You type in preserving America, EPAC.com. One word, preserving America, EPAC.com.
Okay. So preserving America, EPAC.com. All right. You have a full website up, right?
Well, it's a brand new baby. We just gave birth to her.
Yep.
She's short and fat and ugly, and she's tall. But
it sounds like me.
We love her. We love her, and we're going to try to righteously and peacefully turn things around a little bit and try to preserve our country.
I think that's awesome.
Many men and women have fought and died for this country to preserve it and protect it. And that's what we want to do.
And we need to see more stuff like this, especially here on the West Coast. You're doing this in California, and that's a hard state to do stuff like this. But, we need it.
Every journey starts with a single step.
Exactly. And then also your book, United States Socialist Republic. Everybody can find this book on Amazon. You can literally look up United States Socialist Republic, and it pops up. I've put it in there before.
If you can't find it, it's
right at the bottom of your Epec website. I saw it there too.
If you go to preservingamericaepac.com, you'll see the book for sale. There's a link there. You're good to go.
And folks, in the description section of this, whether you're listening to this, whether you're watching this, in the description section right below what we write about this, there'll be a link there. You'll be able to get to Epec from our description section. You'll be able to buy United States Socialist Republic from our description section as well, just straight to Amazon. Guys, I read the book. You see the sticky notes, right? You see I went through it, everybody. I'm not BSing you. I've told you from the start that I won't push anything at all that I haven't read, I haven't used. If I'm trying to tell you that you should take this stool softener, it's because I was on the toilet all day, going to the bathroom, taking that stool softener to make sure it would be good for your bum. So folks, trust me when I say it's a good book. It's well worth the read. It really inspired me to dig in certain directions. And man, when I started looking at that Weather Underground and those connections, I couldn't believe what I found. So Hugo, thank you for opening my eyes to that stuff.
Let me leave you with one little bit of information. The mainstream media and the left have pushed such a hard false narrative. Let me leave you with this one point. The Black Lives Matter, we all, for centuries, man has enslaved white men. White people have enslaved white men, and black men have enslaved black men, and vice versa. Okay? Martin Luther King did a wonderful thing. He brought it to the forefront when they signed in the Civil Rights Act with John F. Kennedy, that's when America really became, everyone understood. Now with the Black Lives Matter and creating this, and they are, by definition, we are Marxists, okay? They don't give a darn about the Black Lives Matter or Black lives in this country. They're pushing an agenda. Let me say this. This is a thug mentality that we're seeing, and they have millions of dollars. And we talk about mirror that lady Rosenberg. But the point I want to make is that we are being blackmailed by the left and by the Black Lives Matter and by the Marxists in this country. No justice, no peace. That's blackmail. And I won't stand for it.
I agree with you, Hugo. Hey, if you could give one thing, if you could say something to anybody out there, everybody that's listening, doesn't have to be about what we talked about. It could be anything at all, any message you wanted to get out. What would you want to say? Is there anything you got for everybody? It could even be a joke. It could be anything.
No, I take the world seriously, but I like to have fun just like everybody else. But dig. Life is too short, and what we need to kind of do our own little bit of homework, because if you don't vote and you don't do your homework, you don't really have any right to bitch. I'm trying not to bitch.
Damn right.
I want to make it. I want to make a difference, but do your homework. Just because I say some stuff, I mean, I've actually in the book, I backed it up with facts and verification. Do some digging. When you get some time, do some research on your own and make your own decisions.
Amen, brother. Amen, brother. Yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I think it was an excellent interview. Everybody's going to learn so much. And, we'll see you on the next book.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to do.
All right, man.
Go to Epec, big guy.
All right, buddy. No problem. Thanks. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed it. I really do. In the meantime, here's that Epec site, okay? The one that Hugo talked about. If you want to check it out, it's at Preserving America Epec, Echo Papa Alpha Charlie, Epec.com. Preserving America Epec.com. As you can see, if you are watching and not just listening, he's got this site here, some videos right here, ensure the preservation of America and its Constitution. It's a good cause. And on the bottom of that page, you can scroll down and get the book that he's got right here, the one that he wrote, USSR, the United States Socialist Republic. I read the book. I vouch for the book. It's good. It's enlightening. I think you'll see some stuff you may not have seen before if you decide to purchase it. All right, folks, as you saw, look, I got the book right here. I got it. I've read it. I got sticky notes coming out of it. I'm not BSing you. I told you I wouldn't push anything on you if I didn't test it out myself. And It's credible. The information inside is credible, and I vouch for it. And obviously, the link for Epec and the link for his book will be in the description section below. In the meantime, folks, Parler came back today, guys. Parler came back. All right. It's a little slow. The app is not up. All right, guys, the app is not up, but go to parler.com at the James Lane, parler.com at the James Lane. Say hello. We're trying to get back into the flow of posting. It's a little bit difficult without having the phone app, but that's all right. That's all right. We'll get back into the hangout. We'll get back into the way things go. Oh my God. I can't believe I'm talking to you guys and I'm not looking at the screen. And Anthony Rogers, whoever that is, I don't even know who that is. He's got this meme up here that says testicular self-exam, cup one testicle. I'm talking to you this whole freaking time, and there's a guy cupping his testicular self-exam. Cup one testicle at a time and roll them between your fingers using slight pressure. Dude. Once you establish that you have them, fucking stop being obedient. Okay. Anyway, sorry. That was completely unscripted and unexpected, but just go to Parler. For the love of God, say hi. I missed everybody. Go to Parler. Let's get these 15,000 people back. Spread the word at the James Lane on Parler, at the James Lane on Parler, parler.com. If you didn't know, your accounts are back. Go log in. Get Parler back, folks. I'm also on Gab. All right, guys, go to Gab, www.gab.com at American_Reveille. I'm building up a presence there as well. Slow going, but that's all right. We'll get it figured out. Gab.com. You like our new logo, by the way? Take a look at that. I think actually you'll see the next one. Look at that. American Reveille. We got the bugle. We're going to make it real pretty. We got that coming with the street teams with some stickers and stuff. But Minds, I'm on Minds as well. www.minds.com, American_Reveille. Building that up as well. As you can see, we have one subscriber. 55 views. I just made this page today. Give me a break, guys. So check me out on Minds if you use that platform. We're going to go and do Instagram as well. They haven't done too much in the censorship department, although I know they're scouring direct messages, but I have nothing in my direct messages. I don't care. So we'll try to use Instagram, at least for the business side of the house for now. So if you have an Instagram, American_Reveille, I need you to follow me there as well. Please follow me on Parler. Follow me on Gab, follow me on Minds, follow me on Instagram. We need to get around the censorship, and I need your help, guys. Please do me that favor, all right? It doesn't take long. It takes a couple seconds. If you're brand new and you're just hearing this, follow along, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Whatever platform you're on, do all of those different things, whether it's watching, whether it's social media, all of the above, all right? I'm literally throwing this up out of my mouth with I'm telling you like 10 different social media sites, so I'll get it as correct as I possibly can. All right. With the likes and the subscribes, and because some of it's like echo, some of it's like share, some of it's like, some of it, Parler's upvote. Yeah. Give me a break. All right. I'm getting old. All right. When my hair fell out, my brain cells started slowly leaking out of the pores. At least that's what my wife says when she's mad at me. All right. Screw YouTube. YouTube is screwing me. YouTube is screwing me royally. Nobody, even the people subscribed to me, aren't seeing the stuff on YouTube pretty much. All right. Some are. All right. But most people aren't. So I went to Odyssey, Odyssee. I like it. I really like Odyssey. It's clean. It's fun. It seems to work good. Check it out. Odyssey.com. I'm American_Reveille too as well there. _Reveille. You see the pattern? I'm trying to standardize things for you guys. Make it easier. American_Reveille on Odyssey. If you don't want to try Odyssey and you're still stuck on the Rumble gig, go to Rumble. I'm on Rumble too. American_Reveille on Rumble. I know this sounds really repetitive, but I have to say it. Social media has been wonky. All right. Our presence has been cut. We've been shadow banned everywhere. So I know it's a pain. I know this is boring, but I need you to listen to this stuff. I need you to help me. I need you guys to subscribe. I need you guys to follow along. I need you guys to share what we do, to talk about, to tell people about it. I need your help. All right. If you'd like to help more, or you can email me directly, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. There's all kinds of opportunities there. You can go to the website, www.AmericanReveille.com. Now that we got the new logo, by the way, you see the logo up there with the little trumpet? It's like a green circle with the trumpet and stuff that's going to get little and go in the upper left. It'll look real pretty at the top of the new website, which hopefully should be up within the next week. We're almost there, guys. I know I've been preaching the new website thing for a while now, but I promise you it's coming. It's coming. Sign up for the newsletter, guys. Sign up for the newsletter, www.AmericanReveille.com. That's REVEILLE.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check us out. Read our articles, all right? We have great writers, fantastic writers, guys. Give them a chance. Give them a chance, all right? Everybody had to start somewhere. They really did, all right? We're adults. This organization is veteran-owned and operated. We're not BSing you. We have quality stuff out there for you. We are here. We are looking to enlighten you, to empower you, to entertain you, and we can entertain the hell out of you if you give us a chance, all right? We're going to spread the message subliminally. We're going to do it the right way, the core values, the right traditional values, conservative, Republican, libertarian, the right stuff, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to inject it into the core values of our work. All right, folks, and people are going to learn, and they're not even going to realize they're learning. It's how the left does it. We're going to do it too, but we're going to do it the right way with the right values on the righteous high ground, folks. Plain and simple. Ladies and gentlemen, if you loved what we did, if you appreciate that interview, if you want to support a media company that's fighting tooth and nail from the grassroots, bare bottom, broken down dirt floor to climb the mountain, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to help us, if you want to put your money into the American Reveille, please hit the support us tab at www.AmericanReveille.com. All right. You can hit support us and donate. We take Bitcoin. We take PayPal. Anything helps. All right. It all goes into equipment. It goes into building different things, to getting data analysis done, to hiring help sometimes when we need help, different things like that. All right, guys, trust me, I can provide receipts. We do not put any of it in our pockets. It all goes right back into the American Reveille and the American Reveille podcast and our strategy for growth. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I really do. Let me know what you thought of today's episode. Leave me a comment in the section below. All right. Tell me, whether it be social media, whether it be via email, jameslane@AmericanReveille.com. I take all the feedback I can get. Folks, it's been good. I hope you enjoyed the interview. Thank you again from the bottom of my heart, and I'll see you in the next segment.